Good morning if you are in Germany, but since I am in Australia, so good evening from Australia, Sydney. Happy actually to be with you, like for next time again. Uh, I'm not sure, yeah. Hopefully, you can see my screen and hear my voice. Uh, a little bit about my background. I started as a BIM guy based on the UK, but when I jumped to my PhD, I was looking to the integration of BIM and blockchain within Western University, and aligned with that, I was trying to understand the blockchain from both IT perspective and business perspective with Oxford and MIT University, and that's why I tried to implement my experience from the industry to what I have learned, okay, with BIM and how blockchain can enable what we are doing. The first question actually I had when I jumped to this workshop. So the title for the workshop is blockchain with IoT. So why you speak about BIM? I believe like BIM plays really an important role when it comes to implement any new digitalization in the construction industry. So understanding the relation between BIM and blockchain obviously will enable like a more technology like IoT, AI, and maybe that was appear in the previous presentation. Also, I usually like to share that my quote about I don't care about your information unless I can trust you, and that comes from the integration of BIM and blockchain. And that's something I have actually answered in detail in one of my publication about the rationale for integration BIM and blockchain. Last year, when I come to this workshop, we had a discussion, and actually I proposed my data model for integration BIM as a single source of truth, demonstrating the case study which has been done with Lindley's, Robert Scoe, and the prototype which I use Autodesk and Hyperledger Fabric. So as a part of that workshop last year, I demonstrated the detailed model for that integration, which has been published in several papers. In that one, I jumped to the data flow diagram and actually how we can move from the existing workflow and using BIM to the proposed one where we have blockchain. After that, I explain in detail the taxonomy for that integration and how we can distinguish between the reliability and responsibility. I link that, okay, with the BIM standard like ISO 19650. Also, I jump to the entity relationship diagram and how this is the last stage to start actually moving and translate what we have done from IT perspective to propose a smart contract. And maybe last year, the most interesting part when I shared with you the demonstration for that prototype, where actually we have done the actual integration to implement that the data model based on the one of the Western Sydney campuses here actually in Sydney, the innovation building. And here actually I demonstrated how the transaction can happen within the blockchain environment, okay, and how it can be integrated with BIM, utilizing or enabling actually the role of BIM for as-built data model, and actually how we can transfer how we understand BIM from the perspective of delivering files and start actually thinking about delivering a data and utilize Hyperledger Fabric and use Dynamo to enable that integration. I will not apply all the video, but this is actually kind of snapshot here from that video. But today, what I need to speak about, which is we usually when as we have discussed, I present a data model and I did the prototype, but when it comes to communicate that with the industry, you need to also to speak about the management model, and how this data model and this prototype, can be actually, implemented, how we can ensure that we have everyone involved with us, okay, to make sure, we can go forward with the process of implementation. And that's why when it comes to the integration of BIM and blockchain, yes, we have the data model, but also we have the management model. We need to start with the data flow diagram, taxonomy, entity relationship, as I explained, but also in management model, we need to start thinking about the stakeholders, development stack, the drivers and barriers, and obviously the key disruption points. So when it comes to the stakeholder development stack, which is the first step when you start actually jumping to understand the management model, okay, in the construction industry. There's important actually concept to consider, which is the blockchain ecosystem. Maybe some of you are aware about that, which is has been actually used like for the first time, okay, and implemented also by the Oxford program, focusing on understanding, the different layers of blockchain and how, by understanding those layers, you can jump from, to the implementation. So the protocol layer, which mainly focus on defining the software rules, okay, that need to determine how the system need to be operated. The network one, which is the most important part there, to understand who has the capability to read and write and comment, and obviously the application one. And maybe the application one, it's important for us, when it comes to the construction industry, because there actually we can define where we are between blockchain 1, 2, and 3, and mainly as like we speak about them, we are within the blockchain 3. So when it comes to the protocol layer, in our study, we had like several questions about it's possible to use public blockchain. Like, is that something, how can we define need, okay, for private one? Also, we were, discussing about, when you enable a new like solution, okay, or a new digital transformation within the construction industry, how we can take that. So here actually the main stakeholders that jump, in the page when we start discussing about the protocol layer, we speak about the main contractor and the developer, okay, with a third party. So their focus when it comes to the main contractor, comes from the perspective of, or actually their role to the use of the technology to solve a specific business problem, but also sometimes, okay, they look to the risk assessment and cost implementation. And I believe some of you, they were discussing about or asking about the cost. And most importantly, they are the main one to form a partnership with a third party to help in this implementation. And here the third party could be the developer and any startup company. But something has been noticed here that when it comes, to this or to the main contractor, there's actually change nature of engagement, okay, like when we start thinking about the main contractor here, because this role most likely to be actually taken by the developer of or the platform consultant, because sometimes still the main contractor cannot take this role, and that also can be like it is actually the change nature how the things happen. So sometimes even when we mention the main contractor in this presentation, it could be actually a role that taken by the developer, not only by the main contractor. When it comes to understanding the network layer, okay, and who has the capability to read, write, and commit. And read means, okay, you can actually have permission to review the transaction. Write, that means you can actually create a transaction. But commit, when it comes, to the ability to actually control the change, okay, of state, okay, of the ledger. Here, actually, we define different stakeholders. Obviously, the main contractor, consultant, subcontractors, suppliers, including actually, the manufacturers, and obviously the end users. When it comes to the main contractor, or maybe the one who actually own the ledger, they have the capability to read, write, and comment. When it comes to the consultant, and that include engineers, they have the capability to read and write, same as subcontractors, suppliers. But when it comes to the end user or the client, they have the capability to comment, but they don't have, as a part of, out of our commercial study, they decided that they shouldn't have the ability to read and write, and that mainly, okay, comes, how the actual contract, it is actually formed in the construction industry. And that's why some point, actually, it's important here to be, or a critical like areas where we need to work, that the contracting model right now needs to be, close to the business as usual, and that will help to implement the integration of them and blockchain. The contractual arrangement, okay, need to be discussed upfront, so it's not, just something happening. We need to make this as a like something like all the party understand about it. And also, it's arguable that still this contractual model is still an active discussion. So that means, that something is not happening and very clear when it comes to the construction industry. Also, when it comes to the application layer, so here we can find the main contractor again and the end user, and maybe the main role for both, to put blockchain application in motion for implementation. And that's why, as I discussed before, so maybe not only the main contractor can play this role, but also the developer. And when it comes to the end user or the client, maybe here also we can focus on the smart client, like the government, because sometimes they have an innovation application or they have a specific vision, to be implemented in the construction industry. Here, actually, the drivers and barriers. Maybe I will not read it all, obviously, because it's a lot. But something really is important here, that when it comes to the barriers, that we found in the construction industry, they are scared from any trusted, solution, because that means everyone in the in the supply chain or stakeholders, all their data will be actually accountable, for what exactly happening. So that sometimes you can open the discussion that the challenge when it comes to the construction industry for having a trusted platform, it could be actually a culture challenge, not only a technology challenge. So that's because, everyone sometimes scared from, okay, why, everything will be accountable, every transaction is immutable, so I'm scared to jump there. Well, if you look to this from other perspective, that means, that can make sure that the supply chain will be seamless and everyone will work with a trust environment. But again, that maybe not exactly what's happening, and that's actually out of our commercial study. So and that shows sometimes when it comes to this trusted platform, we have a challenge from culture perspective. Quickly, when it comes to the key disruption points, to integration beyond blockchain, blockchain, the industry actually find the best way to describe blockchain as a passive technology. This is because user cannot directly aware about what's happening, because it's happening underneath as a foundation for any transaction. The main things actually will be disruptive that we usually in construction industry use to send or exchange file. But right now, we start thinking about data handling. And as we mentioned, maybe in the first presentation from the key speaker, that the hash, so it's not just about exchange files, and that obviously enabling even the role for building information modeling. When it comes also to the disruption, the industry starts, as industry actually starts to understand the blockchain, the disruptive nature will be reduced to be a challenge. Large company, they show actually their interest to implement blockchain, because for them, this solution will be at low risk investment. And in fact, one of the company, they took this the idea of integration payment blockchain to one of a big project here in Parramatta, Sydney, for the Parramatta House Museum. However, aligned with what the previous discussion was, more return of investment case study actually still needed. Quickly here also, when it comes to adopt blockchain, we need the two ways: top-down strategy and bottom-up strategy. For this implementation, we need more hybrid roles when it comes to the best response to this disruption, but also and that may be aligned with what the team of CBC and UCL they try to do. More legal requirement and mandate from the government could actually promote this kind of solution. How that can have practical in other research when it comes to the management. Recently, actually, we finished the new standard here in Australia for digital engineering. But the relation between that and what we are doing in between them and blockchain, that we change the perspective of exchange files to start thinking about the database, and that totally aligned with enabling the machine readable data. Something also we have done, and my colleague here, Priya, she was me, we will start thinking about moving from project to platform, and even to implement that. The idea about IP and trust, again, the ownership is really important, and that's why, okay, there's a possibility to actually implement this kind of research when it comes to the relation, okay, of blockchain within the future of platforms in like by utilizing Web3 industry. And here actually some of the research that we have published, about blockchain, and every year actually by chance, like when I come to this workshop, one of my publication in the same day is accepted to be published, and today actually we had one. So hopefully soon, okay, it will be also here. Yes, that's from me today, and thank you everyone, okay, for your time and for this thing.